In other news, U.S. President Barack Obama's first year in office is nearing an end with a busy 2010 on the horizon. The nation's economy, the war in Afghanistan, and November's congressional elections may determine whether the president is able to advance his agenda. VOA's Klein reports.
President Obama spent much of 2009 trying to heal a sick economy and promoting his administration's economic recovery plan. And with many seats in Congress up for election in November 2010, Nathan Gonzalez, the political editor of the Rothenberg Political Report, believes the president will spend much of the coming year the same way.
The worst thing that can happen for the president and the Democrats is for the economy to continue to deteriorate and they get blamed for it. If both those things happen, it could be catastrophic results on Election Day.
Recent economic reports show that the American economy is starting to recover, but the unemployment rate has also topped double digits for the first time in 26 years. Former Republican National Committee Chairman Ed Gillespie says many Americans blame Mr. Obama for the high jobless rate.
And they will see President Obama's higher taxes, more spending, more debt, more government intervention in our economy, in the banks, in the auto industry, in healthcare, and in energy as largely responsible for that lack of job creation.
Mr. Obama has not actually raised taxes, and his supporters say he has prevented further job losses. Robert Borisage is co-director of the Campaign for America's Future.
What you've got is a president who has tried to do big things that are important to the country. And you've got an economy that, his recovery plan has kept from being much worse and that will be growing.
Turning the tide in the Afghan war will likely be another major priority for President Obama in 2010. Violence in Afghanistan is mounting, U.S. public support for the war is slipping, and lawmakers in Mr. Obama's own party have criticized his plan to send tens of thousands more troops. Political editor Nathan Gonzalez says with congressional elections looming in November, Mr. Obama is under pressure to show results.
President Obama needs to show that he has a plan for Iraq and Afghanistan, that he's implementing it, and that it's working.
Former Republican Chairman Ed Gillespie agrees that the president faces a difficult situation in Afghanistan.
When you're president of the United States, they don't send you the easy decisions, they send you the hard decisions. By the time a decision gets to your desk, it's a hard decision. And I think President Obama has seen now the difference between running for the presidency and serving in the presidency.
Besides Afghanistan and the economy, Mr. Obama also has other domestic concerns to consider: immigration policy, climate change legislation, and creating jobs in the clean energy industry. Nathan Gonzalez sees the election campaign getting in the way of the president's major initiatives.
Going into 2010, it's going to be more difficult to get controversial legislation done because Democrats in the House and the Senate are looking at their own re-elections.
Many of Mr. Obama's initiatives, such as health care reform, will not begin to show results until well after the November elections. David Frum, a resident fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, says Americans are losing patience.
None of us know what's going to happen in 2010, and maybe this will all pay off in the future, but it sure ain't paying off now.
Yet Robert Borisage of the Campaign for America's Future says voters will understand that Mr. Obama is working in their best interests.
I think if the president keeps fighting for reforms that are clearly about where the country needs to go, he will benefit and Democrats will benefit.
The results of the November congressional elections and the fate of Mr. Obama's presidency may once again hinge on his powers of persuasion.
And joining me now in the studio to talk about what Obama's time so far may mean for his political future is VOA's Klein. Welcome to In Focus, Ken.
Vincent, thank you. Good to be here.
Yes. Now, what do you think about it? What is the major challenge that the president faces? Is it the enormity of the problems he inherited, namely the ailing economy, the two wars, or the promises he made to the voters and the hope he gave them?
Yes, it's both of those. The expectations for Mr. Obama, both in the United States and overseas, were enormous, and he has embraced those expectations and is trying to live up to them. That's a daunting challenge for him or for any president. Also, as you said, the enormity of the problems he faced when he took over and the problems that have come up since. That I would say both, absolutely. Yeah. It's just a huge job for any president, and especially with this particular group of problems.
Now, some people may be curious, must he succeed in all the fronts? Or if he does score well in one of them, say health reform or the war, then his future is secure?
Well, health reform will be a big help. If he can get that off the table and out of the way, that will help him a great deal, because that's a divisive issue, and especially with the 2010 congressional elections coming up. The sooner he can get that off the agenda, the better. Now, I was just hearing a short time ago that this debate in the conference committee, which reconciles the House version of the bill and the Senate version, may drag into February, past the President's State of the Union address, which would not be good for him. But the sooner he can get that off the agenda, the better. The main word, though, I think this all comes down to one word: jobs. The U.S. unemployment rate is 10%, the highest it's been in more than a quarter century. And if he can make some progress on that, if he can show, if his initiatives can show some progress in bringing that rate down, then I think people will start to give him some credit for improving the economy.
Let's say, unfortunately for him, things just remain constant. They don't seem to be improving so well. Let's say to the end of his second year in the first term, should he start worrying at that time about his second term?
Well, I was watching a television interview with him just last night, and he was asked about that, about the poll numbers. His poll numbers are down significantly over the last few months, and he said he basically expected that. He said when he took office, he said, we've got a few months to get a lot of things done before the poll numbers really start to dive, and they have. And I think the expectation is that things will not go well for him in the congressional elections in 2010, because a lot of these initiatives he's implementing are going to take a while to take effect. It's going to take some time before health care, that's not going to take effect till like 2013, or the jobs legislation, that sort of thing. All of that is going to take some time. And it's going to take some time for us to find out how things go in Afghanistan with this increase in troops. So I think they're not particularly, well, certainly the administration's not happy about the idea of losing help in Congress. Right. But I think they're mostly concerned with 2012. If things don't start to get better by 2012, then they'll be in trouble. Too bad.
Well, thank you very much, Kent, and stop by many more times to share with us some of your insights. Kent Klein of the Voice of America.